that the best way to learn is to actually do the math, all right? So this one was lengthy, and I appreciate you taking the time. So this first step was type all of these prices, right? These are gas prices across Canada up until May 6, 2022. I actually went online, and nowadays with ChatGPT, just ask ChatGPT, hey, can make me a table, and this is what we got. And then so to find the mean, standard deviation, and the range. So basically, when you have this all typed in, you have all this typed in, you find that you realize that there's 40, and just do a quick count, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Learn to count by twos, guys. It's just so much faster, okay? You know how I learned to count by twos really fast? You might not care about this little side note, but in Paraguay, I worked after school. I would always work for my uncle, delivering cosmetics and perfumes and stuff. That was his business. To all these little stores, like all over the city, like there were hidden little stores, right? And we always had to like count the items in front of our customer. And I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would lose count like halfway through. And so my boss says, well, we need to teach you to count by twos. It's much faster, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? And so then you actually sound a bit more confident too when you're with customers that you count by twos. Anyways, complete aside. But anyways, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 4, that's 40, so that checks out, 40 cities. My range is 55 cents. I basically sorted this, and I grabbed the largest minus the smallest, and that's how I got the range, okay? And this is cents. Everything is in cents, so that is my unit that I'm using here, okay? Next step, once it's arranged, you're supposed to put it in this table, okay? There are a couple things that I gave away, right? So it took away some of the guessing. Okay, so I asked you to start at 160, given the fact that if you start at 160, it's safe, you'll get the lowest value in there. And then I asked you to use a width of 5 cents. That is kind of what to expect on a test, quiz, AC. Anything I do, I will most likely do that, so we are all this, like, standardize it a little bit, okay? And then, so your job is to go up by 5. And how many intervals do we have in this case? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's 12 of them. So your histogram, if you proceed with it, should have 12 bars, okay? Let's just ask the question, could I have gone up by 10 cents? 160 to 170, 170 to 180, absolutely. You would have had half as many bars, but maybe that wouldn't have gotten you up to, well, maybe. Yeah, you would have been okay. You would have fewer bars, so just keep going until you make sure all of your data is represented, okay? I go through my list, I do my tally, and my tally then turns into the frequency, like I actually add up what I've got. You see that the most of the time the prices were in the 195s to 200s. That's the most popular category, right? 19 times. Okay? And one last check is make sure when you do this that this actually adds up to 40, then you know for sure you didn't miss one. Okay? Next. So, okay, marking wise. Today I'm basically going to just give you the marks based on completion. Like, I want you to write down the correct answers. Mark it wrong if it's wrong. If you did it, you're going to get the marks today because I really just wanted you to go through the motions here. If you got this, way to go. You're on the right track, so you know how to type in. Notice that all of these had decimals, so it was a little bit trickier. If you missed one decimal, the whole thing is off, right? So practice that, please. And then, so this one as well, I'm just going to mark it on completion today. So if you have anything wrong, make sure you just correct it. And then I'm okay, you'll get the full 100% on this AC. We'll just take away if you didn't do something. If you didn't complete something, we'll take away a few percentage points at the end. So that's 2. Now draw a histogram and a frequency using the draw a histogram using the frequency table. So I did both, as you can tell. I did the histogram and I did the frequency polygon. I did both. It wasn't necessary. If you just have the bars, you're fine. But what must happen if you, like I go by the table, right? My table starts at 160. So I'm jumping, right? I'm jumping to 160 and then I go up by 5s from there. So you must have the zipper. Make note of that. Add it to your AC, right? Nico, did you do this? Okay. Frequency is your cities. In this case, how many cities are we considering? Gas price, and it's in cents, right? This is where the interval goes, but what is that? What does the x-axis represent? It's your gas price in cents. Okay, and if you have that, you're good to go. You will notice that I didn't bother with going up by 5, showing every single one. That's fine, but my bars, every single bar has a width of 5. Okay, so this one is out of 7. If you did everything, you get 7 out of 7 on this page. If you did everything, even if it's not correct. Okay. Let's go to the back side. This one I'm actually going to show you how to do it, okay? If you didn't do this, I would encourage you to now type this in with me, okay? Look at that. That's grade 12 applied right there. Anyways, so what you need to do, this is 2 frequency tables in one, okay? So there's your midpoint. You need to calculate that. I did that already. I put that into L1. And then class A will go into L2. Class B goes into L3. Yeah, so we're going to do that. So I'm going to go stat, edit, clear everything. Oops. So because this is important for you to know, I didn't do this in the notes yet. So this is my basically crash course for you, okay? One thing that I would say you should notice is a pattern that we're going up by 10 every time on the midpoints. You should observe that pattern. And so class A is 0, 0, 0, 5, 3, 6, 7, 6, 7. Anyways, then it's 0, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 3, 5, 10. There you go. I think I got it. So I'm going to you only use 2 columns at a time, okay? So for class A, I'm going to use my midpoints. And what does this represent, guys? This represents like how many students, in this case 3, scored between 40 and 50%, right? That's what these numbers represent, okay? So I'm going to figure out for class A, let me just get over here. For class A, the mean standard deviation and the number of students. So you go stat, one variable, stats, L1, comma, L2, okay? And you get 62.06 is my average. Standard deviation is 16.00. By the way, if you want full marks, if there's something past these 2 zeros and you're rounding, you need to go 0, 0. If all you had was zeros all along, then you're not really rounding. Then you can just go 16 if you want. So my message to you is just put 2 decimals every time and then you'll be safe. That's what I'm trying to say here, okay? So if you round this to 2 decimals, it's 16.00. 34 is n, right? So we got that one taken care of. You repeat the process. But now I'm going to go midpoints, which are in L1, comma, I will go second 3, because now I'm curious about class B, right? So I want to compare the midpoints and the class B students, right? So I put this in, I get 16.5%. See there, it's okay to go 16.5 because there was nothing past the 5. But if you want to absolutely make sure Just put a 0 in there, 50, and then you're safe, okay? 27.5 is my standard deviation. If you want to be sure, just put 50. And in this case, we're comparing 32 students. So the class sizes are not the same, okay? So that's how you do something like this. It's instead of me giving you two different frequency tables. It's actually faster, okay? What is the significance or the meaning of n in this chart? You have to know within the scenario what it represents. In this case, it's the number of students in each class. That's what n represents, okay? You can tell right away, look at the average. Look at the average. Class B has a higher average, so you might think, oh, they're doing pretty good, right? They're doing better. But if you dig deeper, you notice that Class A has a smaller standard deviation. There's less variance. Like most data points are closer to that average that you're claiming. Whereas here, the standard deviation is much greater, which indicates that 67.5 is maybe your average, but you have students that are on either side of this, like spread out actually. So you might have some outliers there. And so that's something to take note of. Mr. D is primarily seeking consistency when it comes to assessments. Which class would meet this criteria? Explain how you know. For me, for my results, I would have to say Class A. Class A is more consistent since it has a smaller standard deviation. A smaller standard deviation indicates an average distance of the points to the mean is smaller, right? The average, on average, the distance between distance of the points to the mean, on average, the distance of points to the mean is smaller. That's what you're also saying, okay? You're clustered around the mean, that's another. So I'm kind of nerding out here. I'm saying the same thing in various ways to help you understand what the standard deviation says, okay? And here's probably the more challenging part. I would say do one at a time. Do one class at a time, right? So for example, Class A was my red line. So what I did is I found the midpoints of everything. So what does that mean? Okay, here, I'll show you what that means exactly. I go to my frequency table. Between 0 and 10, the midpoint is 5. So along the x-axis, you're going to go find 5, and you're going to go as high as 0 on the y-axis, which is you're not leaving the y-axis, the x-axis, right? So this is my first point here. Between 10 and 20, the midpoint is right here. There's also no students are in there. No students are in here. Between 30 and 40, I'm just looking up at the table, I had five students, so that's why I put that number there. So basically, you just keep going until you're done your table. And then you do the next class, right? The next class there. Fun stuff, eh? I want you to see something in this graph, though. I'm actually going to go over to this graph. Okay? You should see that the range, like the distance between the highest and the lowest, is smaller for the red, for Class A. You notice that? It's a little bit more compressed. For the dashed line, if you go this end all the way to this end, there's more of a spread for Class B. And you can notice that there's a lot of students all over the place, but you had a significant number of students that actually scored quite high. Okay, they scored anywhere between the 80s and 100, so that pulls up your average. That's why your average looks like it's higher, because you have this. But me as a teacher, I'm wondering, like, why do I have this? Like, why is there a spread here in the low end? Like, do I need to improve something? Do I need to be a bit more, do I need to be clear with my instruction? Are there attendance issues, right? There's a bunch of things that you consider, but just the average is not good enough, right? To me, it would be alarming to see that's the high standard deviation for class B. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're looking at the graph. Sometimes helps you do that as well. All right, so this is how we're going to treat this, okay? The graph here was worth 4 marks. So what we're going to do is, this one is worth 17 in total, this AC. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the 17 and subtract the marks that you didn't do. Everything else we're going to assume you got 100% on, okay? So if you didn't do that last graph, then technically you got 13 out of 17. If you didn't do that graph and the front graph, you lost 7 marks. You got 10 out of 17. I know you might think, oh my goodness, I lost a lot. ACs overall, they're more for learning than anything else. You probably realize that already. And so next time, and if I ever do a bonus or anything like that, take advantage of it because it will bring your AC mark up again, okay?